Hi everyone, welcome back. So now we know what this CEO is doing and why he wants captive employees. So from the title, as we mentioned in the introduction, it seems quite scary to keep someone captive and potentially illegal. But for the owner of Mineral Resources, an Australian mining company, he thinks that it's better for his employees to stay at work rather than taking small breaks throughout the day. So as we mentioned, we don't really go outside during our mini 5-minute breaks. Just take a trip to the water machine, go make a coffee, or just go for a walk away from our workspaces. But people at his company may have been taking liberties with their time and going to the local coffee shop, going outside, maybe wasting more of their time than he thinks is good. And so if you think about your job, it is a two-way street. You have to give your time in order to get their money. And so if your company are paying you for a full day's work, then it can be unfair if you do not put in the amount of hours required to earn the amount of money that you have. And so the CEO of this company has decided to create an on-site environment at the mining company that kind of encourages workers not to go outside so they can bring their kids to work. There's hopefully good coffee, and there's even an on-site psychiatrist. So if you're having a really bad day, you can go on company time, I guess, and go explain your problems, why your boss has stressed you out that day, or maybe why your co-workers are making you annoyed. So maybe it can be good for your mental health, but I think a lot of people are trying to decide whether this is a good thing or not, or whether his plan to keep people on site is taking away their personal freedoms. So have you ever felt like you were being held captive at work or at school before?
Yes, I've worked at some places where they wouldn't allow you to leave during your break time. Like even just to go get some coffee or just step outside of the building, it was a big no-no. So it felt really, like it felt like I was a hostage at that point, because by law, with your break time is yours to do as you please, and you shouldn't be like held into the company or inside. So I thought it was very I didn't like that feeling where I felt like I was being monitored, and who's to say that just because I'm at my desk, that doesn't mean I'm working. I could just be, playing solitaire on the computer, right? So I'd rather like reset, come back, and really focus rather than just being there and being stressed out. But I guess if they had a psychiatrist, maybe it'd be okay. So how about you?
Same. I've had the exact same situation whereby during my mandated 1-hour working break, I haven't been able to leave my place of employment. And there are just some days where you just wake up and you're naturally in a bad mood, or just you feel sad for no reason. And so sometimes I think it's really important for you to remove yourself from the situation that is probably causing you stress. Exactly the same situation. I think now I work in a place that is very open to when I take my break too. So if I'm really focused on a task, I can work for maybe 5 or 6 hours and then say, I'm going to take my break later in the afternoon, and they're completely okay with it. And my happiness is far better improved than it was when I was working at the previous jobs. So what is your opinion of working from home? Do you think it's possible for employees to remain proactive doing this?
Once what my boss told me when I suggested that I could get some of the work done at home, basically what he told me is the time that we give you during work hours is you have 3 hours of prep time. So as long as you put in 3 solid hours of work at home, and it's all dedicated, it doesn't matter if it's in 5 minutes, 10 minutes here, 1 hour there, but as long as you gave 3 hours dedicated to your work and the work is done, then it doesn't matter. So when I heard that, I thought as long as I'm dedicating myself to the work for the same amount of time, or as long as I'm producing a good material, quality work, I don't think it matters. I think you can work anywhere.
I think that's a really refreshing attitude from your
Right.
boss, because usually your managers or your boss want you to do as much work as possible in a shorter period of time as possible, and that's often the cause of a lot of your stress. I think a lot of people can work from home very comfortably, and I think you and I, we both live in Seoul, so getting anywhere, even if you live on the opposite side of the city, our commute is not too long, I think. So it doesn't feel like you're wasting a ton of time, but in places like the US, you can be commuting to your job for maybe an hour or two in each direction. And I think for those people, it's way better to work from home. And if you really, especially post-pandemic, we have so much technology that lets us do things online and communicate with each other, because that infrastructure, I guess, was implemented during COVID. So I think if you think that you can do your job and it will save you time, go for it.
Right.
I think it's great. So we hope that you learned something today. Maybe you can consider if you want to work for this company or one similar in the future, and maybe whether being captive in this situation is a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
So there were a lot of vocabulary words from today's reading. Take a look at them one more time and try to incorporate them into your everyday life. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Laid back.
Laid back.
Sap.
Sap.
Equate.
Equate.
Two-way street.
Two-way street.
Not be one's cup of tea.
Not be one's cup of tea.